Okay, so as I said yesterday, I'm gonna read insight into the causative factors that led to my life crime. This portfolio that I have before me is what helped me get released from prison. It was me putting in the work, me doing all the writing, and being as honest as I could, and doing everything to the best of my ability to connect the dots. It was my life story, so who could tell it best? So here I go. 19 it was I was born in Mexicali, Baja California, and up to the age of 5, I grew up in a household full of aunts and cousin playmates who helped fulfill what I could not put into words. It was 1982 when my mother arranged for me to be brought over to the Mexicali border. I remember that day clearly as I waved goodbye to my loved ones in tears. A few hours later, I met my mother for the first time to my recollection. Meanwhile, my grandfather encouraged me to feel safe, and it was my mom who stood beside me. I did not know that she had left me behind in search for a better life here in California at 18 months old. I believe this disconnect uh, made me feel fearful, confused. It is these years of my childhood that I was introduced to new feelings such as dread, distrust, and confusion. These were my early years, 1 through 10. At 11, I began stealing candies out of a meat market, in which I became a habit of doing. Around this period, I was running around with a group of kids who were 1 or 2 years older than me, who quickly accepted me into their circle. It is here where my insecurities that I was living with were met. I was the only child until 10, so I was somewhat of a loner. So when we moved into the city of Baldwin Park with a street full of kids my age, I was in paradise. I was quickly embraced, and as a new kid on the block, I did whatever to fit in. I was a go along to get along kind of kid. I was young, impressionable, gullible kid doing everything to be liked. This gave me a feeling of acceptance. By the age of 12, my attitude and behavior was quickly changing. I was adopting beliefs that were outside of my home. My stealing candy days were over. My criminality was unfolding, as well as my brushes with the law. I was beyond parental control. At age 13, I joined the gang, and through negative influence, I adopted unhealthy beliefs that turned into bad habits. I can't remember being raised with boundaries. My parents were very lenient, not involved, so I tested the limits, and since they went unnoticed, it gave me the freedom to do as I pleased. My gang involvement really activated during my juvenile hall times. It was in these places that I took it to another level. My mannerism changed, and this new identity began to take form. It is here that I learned to fight and be aggressive. It is here that my anger surfaced, and I became an impulsive gang member, one who blamed everybody for his actions. I became selfish and self-centered. My low self-esteem always kept me in self-doubt, so I overcompensated in showing others that I was no punk or that I was weak, because in all reality, I hid fears and shame behind this character I was pretending to be. So as my obsession manifested, I learned the hard way. Many years later, and after spending the majority of my life behind bars, I now admit how out of control and unmanageable my life had become. I now understand my cycle of addiction to all forms of illegal activity. And in recognizing these terrible criminal traits, I have chosen through faith in God to change my lifestyle, my thinking and action in order to make this possible. I've had to make the commitments to correct and learn about myself through self-examination that has allowed me to reflect and correct, but most importantly, admit that I was the problem, that I had issues and that I needed to help. So I gave myself a chance to let go of destructive self-will. I've learned to replace my defects with spiritual beliefs, with proper conduct. My gang involvement was a key factor in my criminal lifestyle that eventually led me to spiral out of control and attempt to murder Eric, in which I'm paying a well-deserved life sentence for a senseless crime I committed, one that was fueled by anger mixed with pride, a terrible combination. Having a weapon erased my insecurities and allowed me to be prejudiced and vindictive. It allowed me to feel in control and be cruel. I write this ugly truth with a broken heart, with a feeling of shame and guilt. I now combat my defects by replacing them with spiritual beliefs and with constant practice through self-help, group involvement, giving back by helping others, by using the tools that are helping me restore and replace my life back together as well. In repairing the harm that I have done by understanding and acknowledging that I was the problem, that I was responsible for all the negative choices. I now hold myself accountable for every single action and behavior that I committed. In writing my causative factors that led to the commission of the offense, I was able to pinpoint events, feelings, and behaviors that led up to my life crime. I now combat these feelings of hurt, fear, anger, confusion, distrust, my low self-esteem, and many other character defects with the opposite. I've learned to place my negative feelings with forgiveness, with compassion, being kind to others. I've learned to be considerate, selfless, honest. Honesty is big in my walk. Being responsible is what keeps me accountable. Self-control is huge for me. It helps me keep my emotions in check. Daily prayer, meditation, and spiritual readings keep me humble in my walk. And so I've learned that through my defects, there's always something good. It's like the yin and the yang. It's the darkness and the light. So it's, if I'm irresponsible, I have to be responsible now. If I'm insecure, well, now I'm secure and confident. If I was self-centered, now I'm self-giving. If I had low self-esteem issues, now I have self-confidence. If I was manipulative, because I was in the past, I'm straightforward now. Honesty is huge. When I was deceptive, manipulative, now I'm honest. When I was defiant, now I'm submissive. I didn't know how to. I used to be a lawbreaker. I didn't follow instructions. I didn't even listen to my mother. And I was always about breaking the rules, breaking the law, and doing things my way. I always said, what got me out of prison, it was when I began to see that things were, I had to stop seeing things for what I wanted them to be, and not for what they were. So, I mean, for what they were. And in the past, I used to see things my way. So I'm gonna do it my way, and it just never worked out. So from being aggressive, I went to being considerate, and from being arrogant, I went to being humble. And that's what I practiced while I was in prison. And I got tested, and it was the last year of my incarceration. It was just this year. I just got out. It was very hard. Fools were like, they were trying to push their, somewhat push up. But I always thank God. I had my angels that surrounded me, and people who were like, man, this dude, he's trying to go home. Like, don't wake him up, like, cause he's trying to go home. And I always had somebody backing me up, coming to my defense, cause they knew that, Diego wanted to go home, and I deserved it after all them years, and I was striving for it. And look at where I'm at, man. I'm out, and I get to share this with you. This is my honest truth. And so for those who have loved ones that are incarcerated and they're still incarcerated, they have to stop catching them write-ups, them 115s and 128s, and stop being in denial. And it comes down to being in denial of your actions. They say that, what is the word? Well, when you do things when nobody is looking, that means that do the correct thing when somebody is looking. That means that you have there's a word. Somebody has to help me find this word. You're just honest, and that's what you have to do, is be honest while you're incarcerated, and do the right thing. You stop bending the laws, breaking them, and think that COs don't know what you're up to, because in prison everybody knows everything. The only ones that don't know your behavior is your loved ones, the ones that are out there, your women who are waiting on you. Those people who come and visit you on the weekends, those people who give you them family visits, like, we got everything to lose, nothing to gain no more. They're giving us an opportunity to get out. So I suggest you get that pen, stop being lazy, and you know what? Dedicate yourself, commit yourself, be loyal to a real cause. A cause that is called freedom. A cause that is that's called being with your mother and your father, with your grandparents, with your tias and uncles, your primos and primas, being able to go to the beach, being able to go eat some tacos, hot dogs, just enjoy life to the fullest, man. And so this is my testimony for today. Que Dios los bendiga, que los cubra con toda sangre preciosa y poderosa, y los retire de todo lo malo, y porque a mí siempre me cubrió y todavía me está bendiciendo, y sé que me va a seguir bendiciendo. So I hope that my followers keep on touching that screen, keep on blessing me, and take care and God bless.